Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your ArtSherpa, and today we're going to be doing this fabulous fantasy landscape. So this is going to be a really fun class. It's definitely 3-hoot, which is one of our more challenging lessons. It's still for beginners, but it's for beginners that kind of understand the concepts of dry brushing, blending, brush marks, using glazing, those types of techniques. If you've never done any of those before, this might be a little bit beyond your current skill set, but I still recommend that you watch it because you're going to start understanding how paintings like this are constructed. If you've kind of gotten some dry brushing and some glazing and some blending down, not mastered, but kind of have it down, this is a great lesson for you to grow those 2-hoot skills into 3-hoot skills. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He is going to help me show you how to do all these amazing acrylic techniques in this fantasy painting, but tracking me with cameras, and he gets zoomed all up in the action so you can see everything that I'm doing, how I'm executing a technique, how I'm accomplishing all the effects that I'm getting in my acrylic paint. And that's really important. My number one tip right now in strategy for you to succeed at this painting is if you're not incredibly versed in these brush strokes, these techniques, and these ideas, watch me first and then do the technique. And you're going to find that just by watching me and then doing, you're going to get a much better result. So I'm ready to just hop on in.
Okay.
Okay. Woo! What was black? Okay.
What was black?
The screen. It went all black for me.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. It just did for me. Let me get my gritty grit out. So we're going to do a couple things. We're going to go over the materials and some wishes. And also, I'm going to recommend that this particular lesson we do with the grid method. However, of course, there is a traceable. If you check the description below, the materials tend to be put down there, all in the big, long 50,000 character description. You may have to open it up, but you're going to notice a link to the website. That's always the best place to go to get this information and find those free resources, those free materials to help you succeed in your art journey. I have an 11 by 14 surface here. These are little art panels. They're economy panels. I get them in packs at a discount, and it's nice for when you are doing a lot of painting. You could do this on paper or stretch canvas. Anything that you have will work. Our wishes today are for Dina, healing for her daughter and her granddaughter. Lisa, healing for her mom. Robin, healing and relief from pain, and just goodness out in the universe. Let's talk a little bit about the paint colors. So I'm thinking for today, oh, I forgot the glazing medium. Of course I did. Don't get it for me. I have Phthalo blue, Phthalo green, Mars black, titanium white, Dioxazine purple. I think I am going to put Indian yellow here because we need a very transparent yellow. Thank you. Burnt sienna, cadmium red, tint white, which is really essentially the same as zinc white or mixing white, cad yellow, yellow ochre, and quinacridone magenta. Also, I highly recommend getting this product, not like every product out there, this product. Other products can be named with these words and be very different products. So I'm really saying this product. I am not sponsored. This is not an influenced recommendation. This is a recommendation forged in the fires of not wanting to be frustrated in my painting and have my paint drying too fast and not be able to glaze. That's what that's about. I got asked that, and I just wanted to clear that up. You may also want a measuring ruler. I'm going to use a T-square, and I have a charcoal white pencil. You could use kids' chalk, just something you're going to be able to measure out and grid with. And we're going to start with a ground, a really sort of interesting ground, I think, today, of
A fantasy ground.
a little of our Phthalo blue. You like Phthalo blue, right?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, a smidge of my yellow ochre. See, we have one little phthalo blue, one little smidge of yellow ochre, and a lot more white. Let's put out a lot more white. And that's going to be our background. And this is the first color that we're going to put on the piece to create that undervalue, that underpainting for everything that comes on top of it, and it's going to allow us to grid. I'm going to take some of my blue and I'm going to put just a little of my yellow ochre in it. Just a smidge, which is why I just put out so little. So this isn't quite a phthalo turquoise, but we are certainly moving in that sort of fabulous direction. And now I'm going to put this pigment into my white paint, creating this nice base blue that we're going to be working from. Can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
And I may even want to, green it up, but I think just the bit of ochre we had knocked that phthalo blue back enough for it to be a nice neutral background color. If you're wondering what I was using, this is a cranked artist knife, and that's a great way to mix paint. I am going to get a large, big brush. This is a number 30 bright. I'm going to dip it in water. See, I'm dipping it in, not all the way to the metal, and I'm dragging off the extra water. So I'm going to pull out and flip and pull out and flip. And this is how I'm loading my brush. I'm pulling it into the belly, and you can see how ample that load is. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole background with that blue color.
Mm.
Isn't that nice?
Just blew it out.
I am. Just going to blue it out.
I like the color.
It's a nice, beginning color. It's not too light. It's not too dark. It's going to let us really put in that sort of romantic fantasy scape that we're trying to go for. That what dreams may come feeling that I was aiming for in this digital design. I like taking digital designs and converting them into paintings.
Mm.
The digital scape gives me a lot of opportunity to work out ideas and get references, and yet still be able to work from my own original compositions, which I really, really like.
Yeah.
When you get into pop culture, sometimes everything is just so derivative of everything else. It's nice to get a little weird.
So that's a solid blue.
That's a solid blue.
And that's
This
why
is
it's
a
called
blue you might paint a nursery in.
That's why I call it a ground.
That's why we're going to call it a ground. Now, there's a lot of misinformation about grounds out there. So I'm going to give you kind of the dish on this. So people often think of a ground as a acrylic wash almost. They really thin it very thin with water, and they sort of stain the canvas. And the problem with that is that they don't understand their acrylic paint. When you over thin it and put it on canvas, it doesn't bind, and everything on top of that won't bind properly. So you're going to want to either use a medium like airbrush medium to thin it if you want it to be very glazy, or you need to apply it in a thicker application. So, and you'll get misinformation on this. I see it all the time. But a really good other instructor to watch for this is Michelle Thurberg, who has a studio course, a fine art studio course that she does, and she'll talk about this also. All right, I'm going to dry this.
Okay. So, while she's drying that, I'm going to say, if you're putting a ground on your surface and you're going to use a hair dryer to dry it, make sure you use low heat settings. See, up in that upper left-hand corner, you'll see as the color dries, it'll start to change color a little bit. It'll it's lightening up. Sometimes it'll darken. This is called color shift, and it's more prevalent on student paints than it is on pro paints. And the thicker your paint is, the more prevalent it is until it's that even coating. Like once this dries more evenly and everything's at a cool temperature, it'll all much more even out. But don't use heat, because heat exacerbates that. Also, it softens the surface, it softens the paint, it makes things stick in not so nice ways. So heat's not good, because you're painting with a polymer base, acrylic. And so less heat.
Less heat we can put out while that's having a little moment. I'm going to put out some of my other colors that I'll be using in the painting. I'm going to add some phthalo green over here. We like phthalo green. This is the phthalo green blue shade. You won't see it labeled blue or green shade in student paints. It's pretty much almost always going to be blue shade. You only see the yellow shade when you upgrade into your paints. So if you're painting in a professional set of paints, you will want to pay attention to the warm and cool explanations on the tube of paint. But when you're in a student paint or economy paint, you don't have to worry about that at all. Not something that they do to you guys. Put this here. Maybe I always like to mix these two together to create some wild stuff. And if I can't get to the color with the paint I got, I will go pull some opera in it. You know me.
Yeah.
I'll get me some opera pink luminous by Holbein. I won't even play.
That's some cool stuff.
It is. I'm just putting out these colors so I have an ample amount of the pigment that I know that I'm going to be using. around and enjoying for these fantasy paintings. There's just certain colors that you know you're going to want to have in fantasy paintings. And I'll probably still use this interesting color I made over here. So there's no need to take that away. And then I'm going to put out some ample titanium white, very important white. If you're reading in our book club right now, you learned that titanium white was not introduced until World War I. Isn't that fascinating? You're in the chapter. If you think about like how ineffective whites were until very, very recently, we were so blessed to have this color. And also much more likely to stay alive because we have titanium white instead of lead white. It keeps going black? Is it going black for you?
No, it's probably your screen. I must have something wiggled loose.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm just making sure it's not a global thing.
No, well, good thing to check on, but
It's okay.
I think it's a localized gremlin.
It's a localized gremlin. I'm just making sure that there's something soft enough to really sort of scrape off on my surface, just in case my pencil today, like the lead in it feels, the charcoal in it feels too hard to go. But oh, look, it's going to be good.
Okay.
Wait. So actually, I'm going to go over and I'm going to make a mark every 2 inches on this one. On a landscape, you really don't need to have the gridding in as closely because you're really sketching in big objects. So it's about a loose understanding of these things. This. So you're just trying to get a loose representation of these objects in. What you saw me do there was soften my lead on the surface of my rough burlap that I painted like 100 times.
That's the most, it's one of my favorite things in the studio.
The burlap?
The burlap surface, yeah.
I know, it's a treasure. I'm going to have to leave it to the kids. Nothing has been painted by you and me more in this studio than that burlap surface.
It's true.
What you're seeing happening is that it's a little hard today and it's not soft enough to really offload. This particular pencil just wasn't as soft as I like them to be. Sometimes the charcoal pencils are softer, but this one is not as soft as they have been in the past. And this is my hack for when I run into a tool that isn't working the way I want it to. I just make it work like I'm Tim Gunn. That's right. I could totally survive on that fashion show. I mean, not like design clothes or sew them, but I could survive like emotionally. Also, I don't think I could do face off. I would be like all mad at the judges.
I don't.
Every 2 inches across the top, it's going to leave a 1 inch over here, but you don't mind that. What, babe?
I don't know. I don't know that I could handle a Tim Gunn event.
Oh, I so could. I'm like him. I like these Debbie Allen, Tim Gunn teachers. Make it work. I'm like, yes. Let's be tough and make it work. I will do it. I will get up early and come into the studio before everyone else and work harder and make it work.
Nah.
Yeah, well.
I want it handed to me.
I didn't want it handed to me.
Why can't it be easy?
I like to work hard and earn my spots. Lord knows I do. Okay. No bitterness here.
You know, it would be nice to just go fishing once and have all the fish jump in the boat, but then it's not fishing, it's just catching.
Yeah, it's just catching.
So, I mean, if you're going to go fishing, I guess you have to, go through the actions of actual fishing.
Got to go through them fishing actions. And honestly, it's good to see stuff like this happen because these things will happen to you at home. That's one of the reasons why we like this live teaching method, because we can't edit out the problems.
No,
if there's a problem, yeah, no, we can't. Says John emphatically. No, we can't.
It's permanent. That's okay.
So this now matches the reference that I have on my website. You can get this. You can print that out for yourself. And this is also gridded every 2 inches. And so this will let me place objects and size up from this small digital piece to this larger canvas piece. So that is what I will be doing over here. Okay. I'm going to sip my coffee and give you guys a chance to scramble and find your printout
Oh,
that you just realized you absolutely have to have.
I have it.
Hmm?
Ooh, see, I got my.
There you go. It's
You,
just always so funny when students are like, wait, I have to have that thing? Oh, that's a thing I actually have to have. Okay.
you're gonna need it.
Now I'm going to sketch in and paint today.
You're gonna sketching in paint.
Yep. Yes, I am. Going to sketch in and paint so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So how you make a grid work, and I'll put this here and then move it as I need to, is you find the squares that you're working in, you count them down and you find an object in the square, and then you only have to address that one object. So if you look 3 squares down, right, we have a little rock that comes down this way and back, and then the beginning of the fall comes over here. And you can see that I'm not that worried because I'm sketching in paint. And that's something that you should get to a place that you're confident in doing, especially when you're working out your landscape pieces. Give ourselves some of this rock we know is going to be in shadow. That's like a little craggedy there that the waterfall is going to be coming off of. We have a nice little outcropping that's here to come along our fall. Then I'm going to come a little bit back up, and there's this little bit of plant life that's happening here. We've got this wonderful tree shape here, but really all I need to really pay attention to is my little water line, which interestingly enough comes up, and this is 3 inches from the bottom, and just sort of really stays here all the way to where the tree is. And the tree is just over here off to our left area. So it's going to be in the second square up, well, rectangle square. So we're going to bring this little landscape down here. And this comes back in. There we go, a little forward bit of the landscape there. This is a very famous waterfall in Thailand.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. It is not pink, though. That is a thing that we did to it.
You made it. You pinkified it.
Pinkified it. I'm probably going to strengthen up this trunk. I actually don't think I like the tree. Isn't that funny? I don't think I actually like the tree. I'm going to fix my tree a little bit, as one might want to. Making it a little more interesting and bumpy. But we're just kind of paying attention to where is that tree, and then we know that I've got a little bit of leaves. And I can just literally follow those down and go, oh, it's sort of in that area. And I'm not going to worry about sketching in the swans or the birds because I've got to put in all this background. So really the information I need to have is that 3 inches from the bottom, I have the line between the water and the background. I need to know what starts my waterfall off and on, right? So where my little rocks are, these are going to be all over here. I've got a little peak of sky here and a little peak of sky. And then a lot of pink leaves.
Yeah?
Yeah. So that's why there wasn't so many squares on the grid. I keep the grid around because it will help you when you get lost in a painting and you're wondering where the objects are. Sometimes seeing them in a relationship from square to square can also help you identify and map out visually if your brain is having a little moment with it, which it will sometimes. Now, I am going to get a number 10 Cambridge. This is a bright. A bright is a squared off brush. It's different than a flat because the bristles, the filaments, are shorter from the edge of the ferrule here. So it's just a little shorter and stiffer. I'm going to dip this in water, drag this off. I'm going to load up quite a lot of my white paint here. And I'm going to get a little of this blue, just a smidge. This is going to be a good several shades. lighter than the original background that I did. And I'm going to begin to paint in the space behind the trees. Just very, very loosely. This is what's going to be peeking out. Notice that I can be very rough with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be fine. Totally fine to have that very rough, very loose. If you want any more blue in it, it's so easy to get, right? See, you can always get a little more blue. And it can be nice to add those little wispy, loose values. Can you see how I'm dragging the brush back and forth?
Yeah.
And I'm loosely moving it. And now this is almost a scumbalous where you ruffle the brush around. I'm just making sure that the sky that's peeking behind these little leaves, where it's going to show, just making sure that that's light and that the value on that is good. Now I'm going to rinse out a little bit, as you might want to. I'm going to take some of this blue over to this green. And I'm adding it into the green. I'm going to get some white into it, and that's how we're going to get that crazy watercolor. Look at that. Let's start laying that in right now. How easy is that? That was the green with the phthalo that was kissed with a little bit of the ochre. And that's going to be really gorgeous. And we're going to paint this whole lower area with this water. Isn't that just easy and pretty?
Yeah.
Easier than you probably thought, huh? Sort of fantasy teal water.
And it's really kind of marbled there. It's not fully blended.
No, you wouldn't want to have this too uniform because water reflects everything around it, right?
Yeah.
And so you would want some of that happening. To that end, thinking about trying to make this look more real and more integrated than you would in, say, a digital piece, you could take just a smidge of your Quinacridone fuchsia here and add your zinc white to it. So you can see that's much more transparent. And maybe come right here into the water and just kiss a little of that reflection into that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So that's in planning because we know these pink leaves are going to show down on this water. We wouldn't want to forget them. I'm dusting on the toe of my brush, just brushing back and forth, back and forth. Take a deep breath. A deep breath. Grabbing some more pink. Now we've got our swans and everything's going to be there. We just want to know that this is in the water, and you can even come back here and talk a little bit about those trees back there. But it's not a big thing, is it?
No.
I just rinsed my brush and I'm coming back and going over it softly to help it blend. So easy to blend. Back and forth. All right. Now that we have that in that, the next cool thing that we can do is we can put in a dark color. Now, I've been trying to decide how dark I wanted to go with my brown to see if I can do it chromatically, which means I'm not going to use black pigment. If I can get there without black pigment, I'm gonna, and if I can't, I will change it up. I have, for a long time, very much enjoyed the mix of burnt sienna and dioxazine purple. So, where I know I'm going to have dark rocks and dark objects, I'm going to go ahead and start to put this in up here. And it's pretty dark. But by not necessarily getting into the black and using the purple, when I get into these crazy orange leaves and things, that's going to make it really pop. Now, the hill kind of comes up here I'm going to just make sure that everything that's underneath here is quite dark. There's going to be, and I'm not even going to lie to you, a really crazy stage of the painting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's that crazy?
Well, it's starting to be right now where you begin to block in values in large overarching shapes.
The underpainting?
The underpainting.
It always reminds me of the character at the end of The Incredible, the Underminer.
The Underminer. I'm sorry. It's too enjoyable for me.
I feel like he comes at a stage of the painting. I come to undermine your painting.
Why not, right?
Like, no, dude, this is just the underpainting, not the underminer.
And the important thing to know about this part of what you're doing is it really doesn't need to be perfect. It can be super crazy.
Yeah, it's just...
This, what I'm doing here, wiggling the brush, I'm creating soft, diffused edges. That's going to help those lines not appear too structural. And this visual layering will increase the believability of that space as I continue to paint.
I'm not sure what it's going to be later, but it looks like a little whale in the ocean right now.
Does it look like a little whale in the ocean right now? I'm going to come back into my green and a little of this blue that I had. And I'll get my zinc, but I won't get my white. And I'm going to come here and darken this waterline. Can you see this?
Yeah.
I'm darkening that waterline back there and blending it very softly. And I'm definitely darkening it around where I'm going to have the fall. And blending that. It's almost a glaze. How am I getting that blend?
Very
well. Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, let me let you show them. So I'm just barely
Well, you're doing great.
working the toe of the brush and pulling that color to soften it into the objects that it's going into. Now I may go ahead and take my blue and my burnt sienna, and I'll make this rock gray. A little different than its friends, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
These are big, big decisions that we make as painters.
Are they?
Yeah, and they're fun decisions. That's a very fun decision that we're making as a painter. Right into the... Maybe even grab some of this. We're just making this part of that rock quite dark. See how we're darkening that up?
Yeah.
We're just saying, no, it's quite dark. We can always get black. If we feel like we need it, if we feel like we're not making it without it, we can always get it. Oh, I'm losing my water. So I'm going to get back to this watercolor that I have, which is the green and a little bit of that blue, and then the white, right, which is that wonderful background watercolor. But I'm going to get just a smidge of my Indian yellow into it. You see that there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wipe off my brush, get into my zinc. And we're going to come up here where the water is shallow on this bank before the tree. You see that?
Yeah.
That's fun, isn't it? Not as fun as showing you guys how to do a transparent waterfall is going to be, which is probably why many of you showed up. You were like, transparent waterfall. And I have to say, yeah, those are always, always wonderful. Now, in this, when, I messed with the digital greens, I kind of did some big, broad, sweeping decisions about color, but I definitely in the painting want to refine that further because I want these spaces to feel distinct and separate of each other. So I'll be making this tree up front quite a bit brighter, quite a bit more noticeable, and this will have reds and pinks in it, but it also might go into the yellows and other values. So that's something to think about as well. In the beginning of that, I'm going to get a little of my Dioxazine purple over to my Cad Red. Can you see that right there?
Yeah.
And back here, where I know I'm going to have these interesting little trees, and I'm going to do this sponge event, but I need to create a sense of things first. And if I don't get those senses in, it won't work later. I'm working the corner of my brush. You know, you can see some of this. This is a deep value. I can sponge these in, and I will, but this brushing step will keep it from looking so cartoonish. And that's the thing when you're getting very fanciful with your pieces. You want to use these techniques, but your goal should be to create a sense of suspended disbelief where you kind of believe the piece you're looking at, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to sponge and we're going to do things, but this will absolutely help us build a believable background that our tree is going to be in front of. Now, as I move over here, I know that that tree is going to cover up most of this, but it's okay to put this back here. So now we have some bits that are open into the sky. We're starting to see that. And we'll get into those brighter colors there. But to do that, we've got to create some layers because the leaves and the branches and the trees, those are all going to be forward in the plane of our painting from our background, our dirt, and our rock. So furthest back is the sky, or this object that we deal with is the sky. And then we've got to deal with our rocks, and then we can put our trees and our twigs and our details in. Those things have to be dealt with. I can't put the water in the waterfall. I can't put the water in the waterfall until I put a rock in for it to flow over, is the kind of thinking that I am in.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. I like it. It works out. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my blue into my brown, as you do. We're going to start painting some rocks. Always get a little of the Cad Red into it if I want to gray it even more. Let's start painting in a this very rough, distant rock shape. Now we're getting that browner.
Yeah.
Now I may at this stage go ahead and pop out some Mars Black because I'm going to want some cool grays. Put it there. I want some deep values. You can always come here and add that. It's quite dark right here. I grabbed some black, some brown, some blue. I'm deepening it. You know that right here it's going to get super intense. And then without even rinsing, look, I came right into my yellow ochre. And see, I can find sort of forward bank of gray. I'm dancing on the toe of my brush. All I'm doing right now is implying, see, I'm wiggling the brush on the corner, implying uneven natural shape.
You're implying rocks.
Implying. Now it gets a little darker over there in the corner, so I'll get right back into the brown and the blue. And actually, I mean, this is going to be real fun. I just want to make sure that whatever colors we use, whether they're fantasy colors or realistic colors, that we get good values. That's what we're trying to build here, is a set of values. Now, this is a fun set of rocks. This is quite a fun little rock here, right? So we can get a little of this blue and brown. And if we add a little black, we get that nice sort of rock base. And we're going to come back and roughly, and I'm using my rough brush for a reason, because I want textural, scratchy, stone-like brush strokes.
Yeah.
A little zinc on there. Just thinking about how this stone is in the picture plane. There we go. Let's go right here. And then we know right here we've got one, right? Quite square, and you want to make these rock-like brushstrokes, which are not so flowing and organic unless they're pebbles. Get into my black and my blue. Not rinsing very much, am I? Coming here and just deepening those values. Under the stone needs to be in shadow, as it would, right? Find all those places that might be in shadow. Let's come here and add a dark shadow right there on the stone. And here at the back, that could have a bit of a shadow. I can always come into my color sets. Let's find a lighter color. Maybe right here. That river rock has a light side to it, and there's maybe a little run of stones here. Now I'm rinsing out my brush. Where I need it to be a kind of a softer, smoother blend, I can just come in and see how I can work those edges.
Yeah.
And that's what sometimes you need to do. You need to come in and work those edges. Get some gray. Let's add some titanium white to it. Maybe a little more. That brown. Find little spots that you see that are highlighted on the stone. That's pretty stone-like, isn't it? Dry brushing. That's a very stony stone. Not to sound like Dora the Explorer. But you gotta do like you do. Like you do. Making little stones. Sitting at your water stage. Having little moments. Finding little highlights. Enjoying that little space. Little black, little blue. I grabbed some zinc. I want to lighten this just a smidge, but not so much that I don't want to cream it out the way you would with titanium. I want to give this rock the kind of bit that would be showing. Bring that right here. Bring some of those rocks. Little bits of rough trade right there. Doing the do. Do you do the do?
No.
No?
No. Too
Yeah.
much sugar. I used to.
Used to. I'm going to get a smaller brush. I'll get probably a number 6 bright from a ruby satin. And I'm going to pull a little of my brown into that.
Although I do legitimately have two cans of Jolt Cola on my desk.
Legitimately.
Well, they're sitting here.
What
Could
if
drink them, but that would be bad for so many reasons.
so many?
So many. Thus they've sat as ornaments there to remind me of days gone.
There's always something there to remind me.
There could be a D&D game that I could pop one open, but probably not.
So I'm finding little shapes. You see I like up and down and making little rock shapes. These are ones, just a few. We don't want to do all of them. We're going to just find a few that we craft in detail. And then add some lowlights and highlights to. And then allow the rest of this, let me get some yellow into that mix too as I go over. Allow much of the rest of this to be in kind of distant implied spaces. A little water on there, a little zinc. Make sure that I'm brushing up this shoreline. So I'm brushing up that shoreline. Implying that shore. Now go ahead and grab a little of your blue and your black, as you do. And give some of these stones some detailed shadows. You see how we're doing?
Yeah, I do.
Pop those little stones out. Or you might see them because they've had a shadow cast under them. These darker, darker little shadows. Now I've got some stones. Let's see how that's looking. See how you can see those little stones that just popped out of everywhere?
Yeah.
You can have as many stones as you like on the bank of your magical lake. And come back and make small dots of highlights. Talk about little stones. I'm going to grab a little of my black and my blue again, some of my zinc. Make sure that coming up off of this rock for the fall to fall over is a wonderful little shadow space. I'm going to make sure our water has got something fantastic. That. There we go. So that's quite defined. This wonderful background starting to go. And a few more little, highlight a little plane there and highlight that forward plane and top of that guy. You don't have to do every single thing through the whole thing. You just need to have enough going on, right? That as you go, you see I'm making that very random and randomizing that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, important stuff. All right, power tools, sponges. Gonna get one. What you want is a sea sponge. I think I like this one here. When they have little holes, they tend to leave this as a stamp. So try to find ones that are minimal in the holes, if you can. And
Yes,
for this
totally.
next part, I will show you how to do it, but I also kind of have a safety recommendation. I use real cadmium pigment. Now, here is what is currently known about cadmium pigment in artist paint, not in batteries, not in artist paint, not in house paint, artist paint. So artist paint is coated to make the cadmium less bioavailable. It is not permeable to your skin. In other words, it can't get in through your skin into your bloodstream. What is dangerous about cadmium is ingesting it. Again, the coating helps a little bit, and breathing it in. That's where the real danger is. You wouldn't want to airbrush it. Now, you can have an allergy though. Actually, to any of your paint products, you can have an allergy. So if this is your very first time using a product, you know, you're going to want to do an allergy test. You're going to want to see. And if you're at all worried, just wear rubber gloves. I am not at all concerned, so I'm not gonna. And I'm going to mix my magenta and my cadmium together here. For this layer. I might grab and make a little bit of a diox and cadmium mix here for the sponge texture. There we go. Just the beginnings. Let's see how this goes. You can see it's sort of loaded on here. Using the natural texture of the sponge. See how I'm pinching the sponge and maximizing the faces of the sponge that will give me leaf textures. Press lightly if you want smaller, lighter leaves. Press heavier if you want a fuller botanical feel. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just creating those little thoughtful bits. And not to get quite involved right here. I know where my tree is going to be. Continue to stamp up through this area. Now on my rocks, a couple places, I'm going to stamp a few of these. I don't take out all my rocks. I'm implying bits of foliage that will come forward. And even this texture will begin to showcase leaves and things. You can always get a little zinc into it if you want to get a couple little early highlights, little variances that will be going under the brighter colors. There, done, that are coming. And you can begin to see how, oh, that's where the trees are going to come from. I wouldn't do that with titanium white because it would just cream out my mix too much. And I want a very subtle mix. I don't want to lose the dark values that I'm taking advantage of. I'm going to rinse out my sponge, free of the paint as much as I can. Squeeze it out. It's a messy business for me.
You got another bowl over there that you can't see.
Yes. And for a minute, I'm going to take my brown, my number 4 round. I'm going to get a little of my black and brown together. And I'm going to start to plant a tree right here. See this little fellow? Little root can come down between these rocks. Let's bring that root down between those rocks. That's nice. It's a good time to put in twigs or any of those sort of distant tree objects that might be peeking out here and there. But mostly I'm looking to get a few like distinctly structured tree shapes worked out.
Like, what do you mean?
So like the little trunks that are hidden in the leaves, amongst the leaves, nestled in.
Oh, gotcha.
So a lot of times with this stuff, what I am always trying to do, I'm going to bring that root down here, is figure out the order in which I want to put in an object. To showcase whatever design that I've got going on. You can see me bringing this back here. I'm talking about that root going there. And trees are thicker at the bottom and lighter, narrower at the top. But just, you don't have to have like everyone on the planet. Just a few. To make the space feel like a forest. Because it's a national forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to come here and highlight some of my branch. Fine little highlight. They come down the roots a little bit. Lighter highlight. Right along there. All right. A little lighter highlight, maybe. Sometimes it's nice to get the yellow ochre in there. Maybe imply a little warmth to that light. Can you see how we're doing?
Yeah.
I can always come back with a dark value to keep finding those little trunks. I've got time. Don't feel pressured. Three hoop paintings, which sometimes now on our thing are probably actually like 4 or 5 hoots sometimes.
Sometimes.
But the point of them is to help you start to see these more complicated structures and how they pull together. All right, a little blue and a little black. I'll thin that with some water. Find a little roughness in the bark, as bark will sometimes have, right?
Yeah.
You doing okay, babe?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay, good.
You?
I think so. Are we here alone, or we still have people?
No, we're very full. Everyone's very much enjoying this painting.
It's gonna be just so pretty when it's done.
I have to say, I'm very focused on switching this one.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot happening, and
There's
I'm moving
a
around
lot
a lot.
happening. So my focus is very, very much on like trying to run the cameras, get the focus, so I'm not super chatty today.
So I'm just trying to create these nice light spaces that are really going to show when I put the more bright, gregarious, shiny foliage sort of out there. So now I'm going to get into the brighter red using that same sponge. Right into that. for a second and really load up. I'm going to come to the tops of places where I've already maybe put some leaves. Tap there, come across. Boy, that looks like an interesting something, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring a little in front here. Isn't it nice to have that dark value underneath? Help us see.
Really makes a big difference.
It does. That's what's going to give our trees, and I might step back and take a look every once in a while and see how we're doing. You can see sometimes I go right in front of a tree branch. I'm going to pinch. When I want to have a little more control over the sponge, I pinch it so it's narrower. See how we do? That's how I get a little control over that little tool. Even though it might not initially seem like an easy to control tool. Now I'm kind of bringing some little bit down here. Definitely bringing that back here. There we go. And now I'd like to brighten that up a bit, I think, with try some cadmium. And I'm mixing that right into what I already had. You can even get some zinc in it if you need to lighten it up a bit. I'm not going to rinse. I'm just going to get right into that. And I'm going to see if I can't find some highlights to really kind of play with.
You're just sort of adding in some layers of the tree leaves.
Yeah, some layers. Where sunlight might catch it, right?
Yeah, it's really creating some dimension there.
It does. And this background, do you see those holes?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotta watch for those holes on your sponges. That would be the hard part of the sponge technique, is that sometimes you gotta really watch for those holes. All right, I'm gonna rinse out and take that in. I'm gonna stand back actually from my easel and look at it for a second. I'm just seeing how the structures of my trees are being built.
They look pretty cool.
And if I like those structures, because I want this front tree to come across as so pink. Oh, I have to mop that later.
That's all right. I'm not sure where it went, but I'll get it.
It'll be fine. I want it to really, really, really read as quite bright and white pink.
Mm.
So I'm going to grab some of my zinc and my Indian yellow. And I think I will pull in some little highlights. See how these are?
Yeah.
Little bit that's going on there. Not dissimilar to what we're constantly working on with our Q-tips.
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, whoop, adding some titanium white into that.
Wow.
And those
Those
nice little
highlights,
moments.
yeah, they just really bring it together.
They do, they do. They're so important. I'm pinching. Pinching. Back into my yellow. There we go. You can always go back with darker color.
Yeah.
Looking good, looking good,
I
looking
think it
good.
looks great.
Store that in water. Sip my coffee.
Mm.
It's now quite cold. This is nice. It's beginning to be that nice sort of glittery fantasy forest.
It
that
really
we were
is.
hoping to paint.
When you put those highlights on there, it really just came together there. I just,
It's good stuff, right?
yeah, a couple little foreground objects and some water, and I mean, like,
You're like, there, man.
I'm just sort of taking it all in.
Now I'm going to take a little of my blue and my black again. Come into here. Make sure that my forest, right?
Get some dark areas in the forest.
Yeah, we need some dark areas of the forest, don't we? Purple. To really kind of highlight out some of that space. I'll soften that with my little brush here. But I want to take out my leaf work. I just want to showcase some of it a little bit better. I mean, it's important to remember that just because you did something, right, with a sponge, does not mean that you can't come back and add another little texture with another tool. See what I'm doing?
Yeah,
You can do that.
or you can get an extra different technique.
Well, and you can maybe like piece out something maybe in a little more detail or a little more thought.
That makes sense.
So don't feel like you can't come in and do that. That's totally always doable. Now, the water coming down, I'm going to again start with a little phthalo blue and a little phthalo green. I'll mix them together as you do. And I'm going to start thinking about my waterfall. I'll come across the top here with just my blue. And I'm going to begin. Find those little rivulets of water that will be coming down. And we're going to just darken this little area right here. Well, let's go ahead and get some white onto our brush. Across the top. Find those little spots and highlight them. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, that's some water that's splashing up.
Yeah.
Splash, splash, splash. There we go. Starting to be a waterfall, isn't it?
Definitely.
Some white, white. White. I like that one little spot there, so it's quite bright. You don't have to highlight all of it. I'm going to just right along that rock, turn up some water. And even though it isn't, we're going to turn this water up a little bit because it'll help our painting. There you go. So now we've got that gorgeous waterfall coming down.
Yeah, that came right in.
Woo! I'm ready to heat my coffee.
Are you? Oh,
Yes. Yes, I am.
So I'll heat the coffee. You your thing.
I'm going to grab a little bit of my colors. I mixed my blue, my brown, my black, all that. And I think I'm going to come here and start to maybe talk about some of this. Well, John goes to
I'm going to get the camera over there on that.
eat my coffee. I may need a new palette, babe.
Need a new palette?
Yeah, this is drying out.
Well, I tell you what. I'll put it over on the palette.
Oh, do you want to do the pee break and then we'll reset a little bit and do coffee? Since this is a longer...
Your intermission?
My intermission.
Can we load you an intermission?
An intermission would be good. Could you guys use an intermission?
I think I could load one up. We're at the 1 hour.
Yeah, let's do a 1 hour intermission. Stretch, rest your eyes, reset your palette, pour out your water, rinse out your sponges. Take a deep breath, let it out. Remember, paintings look crazy until that last 30%, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's where the painting is. I didn't know where it was the whole painting, but now it's there. I didn't know, but I can see it now.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing. It's like those leaves. No leaves, no leaves, no leaves. A whole bunch of leaves.
So we will be back in 3 minutes?
Yeah.
That sound good?
3 minutes.
All right, guys.
All right.
White sand, blue bay, hand in hand, slept there for days. Light wind, gray haze, eye to eye, we parted ways. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Soft-stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire.
Hello, I must have run out of time. I didn't know that was whoosh, whoosh. We don't want to do that. Okay, so rather than are you ready? No, it did. Are you there? It was 3 minutes. See, hi. You're there.
Jeez.
It was 3 minutes. I just came back and it was blank, and I was like, oh no, I don't
How
want that.
long was it blank?
I don't know. It couldn't have been that long. We were gone for 3 minutes.
My life is
Okay.
very stressful. I'm going to put out more paint.
You're going to put out more paint. I'll get my coffee.
I'm going to put out my Phthalo blue and my Phthalo green again. Because I know I'll be using them. Huh?
I'll leave the AC on.
Yeah, John's leaving the AC on, and you're looking at my palette.
Well, that's because you got no palette.
So putting out the titanium white, very important color. Going to hopefully not lose my puffy. Put out my burnt sienna. My Cad Red, my Cad Yellow. You guys are going to love how we do the rainbow when we get to it, which is soon. Actually, really, really soon.
There's my mic. She said that it was only just a couple seconds.
Oh, okay.
So I must have
We
had
have an internal emergency
I
clock.
had an internal
clearly.
clock going, oh no, you got to get in there.
So, going to get this little rainbow in. And that's going to be super, super fun. My mom was like, how are you going to do the rainbow? She may be peeking in to see how I do the rainbow.
Maybe I should remix our break to be a 5-minute break.
I think maybe it needs to be a 5-minute break because who can pee in 3 minutes?
You know, Mary was just saying that. She was like, you can't do that in 3 minutes. You got to be more time.
Why do we do that? Like we take our YouTube show so seriously. Do you all ever just kind of just sit at home like these funny people really take their YouTube shows so seriously?
We got an intermission video. That's how serious we are. That's.
It's like they don't know they're YouTubers.
I mean, like, for sure. This is Saturday afternoon cinema. I get it. Like,
We're ridiculous.
But this, look, you get the best the Nickelodeon has to show.
I think this is when people were like, she can't paint that too. I think you guys, I mean, like, you thought maybe because the whales came out, maybe we could, but you're like, this is a lot.
This is turning out pretty good.
Now, trust me on this. In the digital one, you can kind of see it on my printout. I actually had tried to make these more into the reds because I wanted this to be the pink focal, and then my mask got all messy. But I knew what I was trying to do. So when you see this against the pink, that's going to be so, whoa! And then it'll make it'll make the flowers and the tree special, because if it's all pink, then none of it's special. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got to make a waterfall. I must make a waterfall. Might as well do it before I put anything else in, because it's the next furthest back thing. And the waterfall comes from over here on the side and sort of has a nice curve down that way, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I like the waterfall. Let me get a nice, clean, bright brush, which of course is going to be my number 10. Take a little bit of water onto that. And I'm going to put out some tint white. Little tint white. Which again, could be zinc white, could be mixing white. Put a little of my glazing medium on here and a little of my tint white on here. I'm going to do my darndest to follow my mark. I'm going to let it taper off as it comes off, because rainbows have like kind of a taper off.
It'll a little bit of fall off.
They do.
Optical.
I need something transparent because I have to see what's behind it, don't I?
You do?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Transparency is good.
Little glaze, little glaze, little glaze. I'm going to get a little of my cad into my glaze and a little of my magenta into my glaze. Let's start here. Putting down. Breathing gently.
Got your Roy G. Biv going.
Trying to. Trying real hard, man. Softening that. Indian yellow tends to be much more transparent than cadmium. And I'm hoping, yep, it's going to be my magic bullet for the yellow stripe.
Yay!
Yay! There we go. Doing really good. So you can see we've got our little red. We've got, it's already starting to happen. Are you guys kind of oohing and ahhing at this point? Yeah. Mama Sherpa knows what she is doing. Sometimes. That isn't a really guaranteed thing. Okay. Now I'm going to get just a smidge of this green, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little cad to it because I don't want it to be the darkest green that I have. And if you need to, get your glaze into it. Get your glaze into it.
Glaze on.
Glaze on, glaze off. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now I can always really, really rinse out. Load up with some glaze. Smooth it.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
You just sort of.
yeah.
And that made it very transparent. And a little blue in the end.
Well, I'll probably hit some purple in there too.
You get the V in the Roy G. Biv.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
That turned out pretty cool.
Doesn't suck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Glaze into it. Look at that. That's how you get a transparent rainbow. Yeah.
Turned out pretty good.
Why is the Sherpa? I don't know why I'm being all, it's the Sherpa. But I do feel kind of, I hope it's okay. I feel a little chuffed up right now.
I think it's because your mom was all like, how are you going to do the rainbow? And you're like, I think I have a plan for the rainbow. She was like, are you sure you have a plan for the rainbow? You're like, well, I made a plan for it. I was very interesting hearing the mom and daughter conversation happen this morning. Having heard it between my daughter and you.
Oh, yeah, that's the part that trips me out, is hearing my mom and I now with my daughter and I.
Uh-huh.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. It's funny, though.
And then she gives me the look that I used to give my mom.
I occasionally still do.
Well, you know.
If it's not one thing, it's your mother.
There you go, Mom. See? You taught it to me really well. Look what I did it.
I made rainbow. Successfully live on our nickel show. YouTube.
It's very, very fun,
I like
isn't
it.
it?
I think we did pretty good
I'm
here.
proud of it. I'll take it. I'll take that rainbow. Guess I will.
I'll put it over my desk.
Huh?
It'll go over my desk nicely.
Will you like it? You like it forever?
I'll give it thumbs up.
I'm going to get into my big cat's tongue because I don't want to mess around. I don't got no time for slowness. So I'm going to subscribes.
You get my subscribes.
I have my children subscribes. They think I'm okay for, not being 20 or 14 or whatever.
Is that the new thing? I guess that's always been the new thing.
What, to not be 20 or 14?
No, to be 14's always been the new thing.
Well,
because 14 years are always new.
So here's what. So I won't spoil it, right? If you haven't seen the season, but I just power watched all of season 3 of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that I didn't have to write any angry letters to Netflix like I did to HBO.
You've mentioned that. You're pretty
To
happy
everyone
with them.
I've met.
Well, I mean, that you were happier with the ending of Stranger
Well, and
Things.
it's not the forever ending, but it's just the season. But one of the things that I love about Stranger Things is the character played by Winona Ryder is, in my mind, the greatest mother in the world. I tell my kids this often, and they're like, "Are you that good a mother?" And I'm like, I don't know, because she lived. Like, I'd go in, but I'm not sure I'd get out, because I'm not that fast. Like, she's fast. Like, she did Pilates, and you can tell. It's like Trinity up in there. I'm not really sure.
I'll take you with me.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would get out, though. Honestly, you would be so offended that any of that happens. You would just be like, that would be it for all that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes where
If
I'd
John
be
was
like,
there,
what?
there would be no season 2 or 3.
What are you thinking?
But again, no spoilers, babe.
I know, but every time you solve a problem, it's like, well, that would be the series, so they can't do that.
Uh-oh.
Hold on a second.
Just adding some roots.
Yep.
Roots. To
It's a big tree.
watching my 14-year-old go behind the curtain. Can y'all see her go?
Oh, she was asking. No, they can't because I switched cameras.
Oh,
There,
okay.
they can see the curtain now go. She came over and asked me a technical.
Not at all distracting.
No, but it's live. What do you do?
Yell at your child on air? Probably not.
This is a free show, so I mean, I think they're going to get their money's worth.
I hope so. I'm adding a little highlight to my bark here. I'm just starting to kind of maybe find the little twist. These trees are like, they're little twists of like little trees that twist together to become bigger trees, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just finding those little highlights in this little tree space. As you do. I'm not going to worry about too much here because I'm going to have so many flowers and things I don't think I've got to make it my biggest anxiety. That's looking pretty good. And again, I'm still pretty chuffed up about, you know, my rainbow. So I feel good.
It turned out pretty good. It did.
Didn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Good rainbow.
I'm going to take a little of my Cad Yellow and my Cadmium Red and some burnt Sienna. Just one of my favorite mixes ever, I have to tell you guys. And I think I'm going to start, you know, creating some of these little barky highlights. I'm on the toe of my brush and I'm just dancing it around. Bark is fun. I do a lot of these fantasy forests. Anyone notice that? This consistent theming?
You seem to have a flavor that you like.
I do. I have to say
like
that the versions of my alien abduction, though, that everyone has done has maybe been some of my favorite student art.
I love it.
The little abducted pig just made my heart sing. So let's twist up these little faces together.
Ooh, it was I liked seeing the elfish stuff. So
Yeah, the elfish was for you?
all the big art quest stuff.
Yeah, that's always really good. Big art quest. Oh, we're starting Luchisa next. She's going to be so good. Get them brujas going.
That's the owl one.
Yeah. But with me, you know me, I just want to go brouhaha. I'm more amused by that than anybody else. All right. A little more yellow, maybe.
I don't know. I always was a little more Malkavian myself.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. That's why I married you. All right. It goes back to where John and I met. Sorry.
A long, long time ago on a campus not so far away.
I'm just wanting to make sure that I've got this distinctive feeling of this tree happening here. Even though I'm layering all these flowers, I still want to really feel it. I'm going to take my black and my blue together. And exaggerate these twists and turns as I can. Don't you love exaggerating the twists and turns?
Yes.
Twists and turns. And color, and young. So you don't really watch TV. You fall asleep on TV. You fall asleep during my TV.
I've been, especially as of late, I've been doing
so
double duty.
Busy.
Yeah.
Isn't that a nice little tree that just popped out of nowhere?
Someday I hope to have so much extra time. I'm like catching up on seasons of
something.
I'm
gonna grab some of my zinc.
Workaholic.
I'm going to just very lightly kind of brush this water over the roots a little bit. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
There we go. So that it feels a little like, if I have to get the glaze, I will. Feels a little like the water has covered those roots. Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Now, your other sponges. Call them forth.
What? Sponges?
Your other sponges. You have to call them forth.
What if I want to call them fifth?
Stop
or
it.
Sixth?
Nope. Nope.
All right. Well, fourth it is.
I'm going to grab a little of my purple and a little of my magenta. See, these go together. And we're going to start talking about this tree. This tree comes out a bit. I want to make it special in my world. And make it special, John.
No, I like special.
Special is good. You're special.
Some days more than other. Some days I'm very average.
You're never average. You get a lot more magenta on them. Grab my zinc and a lot more of the magenta. Avoiding those holes that I know want to plague me.
Nobody wants a plague hole.
Nobody wants a plague hole. Are you sure? I feel like that's the next big channel.
It could be. We should try it.
To cause another ad problem where all my channel gets messed up because somebody else got weird.
Right.
How is that the thing that happens?
I don't know. I like the purple tree though.
Well, it'll get pink, but right now we're going purple.
No, I think purple's cool. Kind of matches your hair.
It does at the moment. Yes. Gonna rinse out.
The puce knight would be pleased.
Puce knight.
Well, he would. That's very.
You're a cutie patootie, so I'm just gonna go with it. Now I'm gonna take my zinc and a little of my Just Quin. I might put out a little more Quin because I really, really, really want to pop this tree into pink. And I will use neon paints if I need to, but I'd like to just do it without. I have them. I have that option. There you go. That's the next pink level. Looking for those obnoxious little holes.
Which, oh, get your little.
That you don't want. You can always stamp to the side if you want to make sure you don't have them. Now I'm going to take my number 4 round.
Yeah. Oh, and you put the branches in.
I'm going to start to. It's going to be about a kind of 3-pronged process because I want to hide them in there. And there's several layers, and I may take some of them out as I sponge, but I want to just start to see where I'm going to be pulling those out from. Now I can take my titanium white, go right into that pink. Can you see that? Pink, pink, pink. Let's see how it goes. We're starting to see our pink tree yet?
Yeah.
Does it feel pink yet, though? Feel pink. I'm going to add just a smidge of my Cad yellow to this mix. And come here with a lot more white. See if I can catch a very light pink. Sometimes things are value in mixing, and sometimes things are pigment. And right now, I'm trying to find the value and then hopefully don't have to do too much about the pigment. Not quite bright enough, so I'm going to put out some more of my Quin. My pure Quin. And just keep working it. Trying to find my little pink tree.
That's a big tree. It's awesome.
It is awesome, but I don't know if it's the pink I want it to be. It's pretty pink.
It is.
It could be pinker. Just trying to find those little highlights like you do. I am not feeling the pink, babe.
Yeah, why not? I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what you're not seeing, but I mean, like, the pink looks awesome.
Luminous enough.
Are you sure? It's very luminous. It's very pink. Come over here and look at the pink. You may not see the. You can't see it from there.
Back up.
Come over here and look at this. I'm gonna mute you, so you can come over here. You can come in this. Come see it inside here. Come look at it from the screen. It is. See, you can totally see how pink. I'm gonna turn my mic on so they can hear you. See, it's pink.
It's pretty pink.
Pretty pink. Very pink.
That's pretty pink.
Yeah.
All right.
See?
Kind of pink.
So she's all pink, particular, and that's okay to be particularly pink. Preferential.
Preferentially pink.
Well,
Particularly pink.
if you're strongly pink preferential, then perhaps you should carry the Puce Knight's pennant.
Should I?
Perhaps.
I'm going to mix some of my Diox and my Cad Red. Get some glazing medium if I need it.
Amanda says perfect.
Find values. Thank you, Amanda.
I've never had you come back over here and see that from the camera.
Well, you know.
It's okay. Again, I imagine everyone out there is never seen it before. Like, oh, that's
Never seen me go to the like go look at the camera
come
elsewhere.
in here. It's like, oh, you have to come in here and see.
I'm just thinking about it. Is all I'm saying. I'm just thinking about the level of pink that it is.
But there you
Push those values. Pushing them, trying not to make patterns. Trying to see my tree. You got to see your tree.
Mm.
Can you see the tree? All right, I feel like I'm treed.
You made that tree and you're ready
I
to
made a
leave.
tree. Now I'm going to add some branches. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my blue and my black.
All right. No, this is good. And the community agrees. They think it's good to be able to see that you have to look at things like this too and take a step back.
Well, you guys are very nice. It's very tempting to just like be like, I'm just going to go neon.
No, this is great. I think really this has turned out it's one of those things where things are.
Here, you touch them. I'm going to dry it so I get nice, sharp black branches.
Okay. Yeah. So, you're always much more critical of your own work, and it's hard to see, especially like Cinnamon hasn't painted this before. This is the first time she's ever painted this. She just didn't practice, didn't rehearse how she's going to do the umbrella, didn't rehearse the tree, didn't do any of that stuff. So she just kind of did it. And so,
what did I do?
You didn't rehearse.
Oh no.
So you're still determining whether or not you like how you work this out. And so
I am.
I was just trying to remind everybody that that you're going through. This is the first time you've painted this, so
yeah,
you don't know. Oftentimes, you see the errors in your own work and not the greatness in it, and you suffer from that as well. So
we all suffer from that as artists. So I'm trying to find a little highlight in here.
Giving that tree some shape.
Just, maybe talking about some of these edges.
highlight the glinty edges.
Maybe, yeah. You guys see what I'm doing? Yeah, just thinking about that just a little bit.
I wish I got that over the shoulder look. You just gave the camera the upside down head hanging over your shoulder. That was awesome.
What did I do?
You, while you were painting, you looked up and over your right hand shoulder
Mm-hmm.
at the camera
Yeah.
with your head upside down. But I didn't get the camera over to look at you quick enough.
Oh, because I was like, I don't know.
You just looked over there to see it, the camera.
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm gonna find it.
It's just, as it's your studio, so it's just a natural extension of you're like, can I see it there? Can I see it here? Just fun. I'm a Sherpa watcher. What else do I do?
I don't
I
know.
push buttons and watch you
You
paint.
work pretty hard. I feel like you DJ a lot for ArtSherpa Retreat channel.
DJ, that's a very with great respect to those who do DJ, I assemble mixes of music that might be, gentle and enjoyable. Now, this next week I'll be spinning, but not right now. I'm mostly list assembling. You know what I mean? Curation.
Well, I know that's what I did. I don't think that's what you did.
We curate. DJing is a much more elevated art form.
Just trying to find my tree. You're like, I haven't found your tree yet? It's like right there. No, I haven't found my tree yet.
I like that tree. It's just getting a lot of depth.
Well, when all are
Super deep
irritated
tree.
by your tree, keep treeing. Ah.
That tree is looking good.
Yeah, it's got a little light.
It's got a lot of light.
I'll leave it alone.
You put some plants in the foreground.
I gotta put some birds and some swans and some plants in the foreground. And then we'll have painted this crazy fantasy painting.
That
I'm gonna
will
get some clean water.
definitely. Oh, look, clean water.
So the swans are going to be black, white, and blue. Also very similar for what I'm going to do on the birds. And I'm going to move these over here close enough where I have an easy time seeing them.
Okay.
Just so that I have a sense of
Bird.
what I'm doing. 'Cause I'm going to freehand it in.
Because, along with not rehearsing it and not using a traceable,
What could go wrong?
you're not going to use chalk. You're just going to...
It's fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. That scene from the Goonies, it's going to be fine.
I am a Goonie. Who in the room is an honorary Goonie?
I think that
That's
if you're
what
here...
Stranger Things is the Goonies of today.
Yeah, it's true.
Bringing that little swan's little body up. Swan bodies are pretty entertaining to paint, so as you do. Make sure you kind of include a reflection of the little swan body there. Maybe along the water, include a little more darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
You and Spider have been singing that song.
No, I'm only singing because the kids have been singing it nonstop.
I don't even know where they heard it. I think it's like they must have gotten into my music rotation or something.
I'm doing the lower values in my swan. Right? The things that are not quite white or quite as bright. Not the lightest values I have, not the darkest values I have, just I'll hit them with my highlights a bit. And
Okay.
that's how I'll pull them out.
So
I love how
Christine,
this makes me feel like the peacocks next week, which we're just doing with a brush, is going to be like so much easier.
Christina just called out one of my favorite movies of all time.
What?
I'm just trying to blank on it. Monster Squad.
Oh, yeah. It's also that. It's very Monster Squad. That's so true.
That was a movie that like was there and gone in a flash, but was so awesome.
There was a bunch of them. Time Bandits.
Oh yeah.
Bunch of them that were just awesome and gone. Just making my swan. Making my swan. Talk about the little bit of the reflection of the swans in the water, which are these little stroke marks. I'm just breaking up the little mirror that's reflecting them, and they'll go in so fast. It's the weirdest things, but it's like swans out of nowhere is what will happen. It'll be like nothing, nothing, nothing. Oh my gosh, swans! And that's what's sort of nice about painting is you can tell these little fantasy stories and have a lot of fun with it. And this is me kind of playing with that reflection. You see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you do. I'm going to grab a little more black paint. Literally looking forward to the flowers. Black spot on this one.
That's like their
Nose.
mustache.
Little beak coming out. And then I'll hit the beak with the highlight of a orange, which will pull that all together.
He can be the Ron Swanson of swans.
The Ron Swanson of swans. Anybody from the Mist Village Mafia in here today? I just gotta know. Anybody from the Mist Village Mafia?
I'll
Anyone?
keep a lookout.
Anyone?
Everyone's gonna be like Googling that, trying to figure out what it is. Like, oh no, it's gonna be this convergence of Sherpettes and Mist Villagers, and they're gonna be standing in a field, going, "Now what?" They're gonna go.
There may not be, because like I'm actually pretty anonymous, which is cool.
It's either one of the. It's the scene.
I'm making some orange, and I'm gonna come in and get that little orange on the beak.
Like when the Scots meet the Irish, it's either all-out war or perfect friendship.
No, we're fine. Very similar.
But it could go either way at any time.
Could. It could.
We've just totally gone deep into the dork forest here.
I live there.
I guess that's where this painting came from.
Yes, it is. So I'm just adding the little highlights of his little feathers there, just to show him off. Little wings. And, don't forget to also include some of those reflections, those bright, bright reflections in the water. Dipping in there. Do we have any Mist Village?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
I'm going to go back and read chat. Probably I'll get a comment like eventually, like 2 years later. Anyways, point is Rose Swan. That's why I said it. That's just the only reason.
No, well, I actually the mustache thing, because mustache, the swans have a mustache, and
well,
made
because
really nice.
in the book, it's Rose Swan is
Rose.
Yeah,
There's
tip
so
of the
many.
hat to Ron Swanson.
But that's also cool. Yes, I'm awesome. Yeah, I think that's very awesome.
All right, so I got some swans here.
They're awesome swans.
There are some awesome swans, and they got their little beaks and their little shapes. Now let's put in some birds.
Yeah.
Let's have some birds. Do you want some birds? I want some birds. Birds. Who wants some birds? And I'll tell you what, if I had nowhere to be, there'd be like a white deer drinking here, there'd be fairies everywhere. It would just not stop.
Mm.
I was asking my mom if she had a painting of mine I did as a kid because I was like, oh, I should repaint that crazy painting I did. I'm going to put him like maybe right here. Add a little kind of sesame seed shape to begin with. I don't know if he's going to end up being a little bit chunky. It's hard to say at this stage. I'll stretch out a wing and we'll see how it goes. Flailing out the wing. That's an outstretched wing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's give him a kind of forward-facing, kind of little outstretched wing. He's in motion.
Mm. That's like the freedom dove. You know what that dove's saying? I'm out of here. Not in that box anymore.
That is what doves say. They don't cry because they can fly.
It's like they opened the cage. I'm out.
They weren't really saying, hey, it's going to be okay. Hold on. They were like, ha ha, I'm not on the boat and I had some olives.
You know, Houston has these little doves that are actually, that they're just sort of, they're out all the time. And they make these cute little sounds. I just didn't know that they were a natural bird just kind of hanging around.
They're a natural bird?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't feel like it's a good idea to be anything that's Snow White and
No,
soft.
they're not. Well, in the South, they're not. They're kind of like brownish. They're.
Yeah, I figured they meant pigeons, honestly, this whole time.
It's not really a pigeon. Pigeons
I feel
are
like
kind of.
doves are just a very, very white pigeon.
I think they're a different bird.
Are they a different bird?
Yeah, pigeons are.
Dove people, don't be mad at me. I'm going to curl this wing forward. That'll be super fun.
Pigeons are the symbol of New York, and doves are the symbol of the Love Boat.
I'll take New York any day.
Although the Love Boat actually should be like seagulls, which are, I mean, if pigeons are flying rats, then seagulls are flying Tasmanian devils.
I'm going to come here. It's too much dove body. I'm going to clean my brush and kind of erase.
We're getting very opinionated on birds.
So I'm painting in these basic shapes of these doves, if you can see this. There we go, painting in our doves. Dove shapes.
You could put, like, any kind of bird here, too.
Oh, yeah, you could. I almost did. But then I was like, doves. Because when doves, I don't know, I was having a Prince moment. What do you want?
If you were really into albatrosses, though, you could totally put albatrosses here.
Yeah.
If that was your thing.
But it would be going wrong for an albatross. I would say put toothless. This looks like a cool place. Like the Vikings would be like, "What? That's a really nice place to live. Let's bring the dragons here." I don't really know why we get to stick them in the underground cave, but okay. All right, so I'm foreshortening the tail, and so by having the little low lights, what it allows me to do is come back with a much lighter paint. I don't want a pure white because I'll save the pure white for just a pop highlight. But now I can take this and start that space. Highlight those little feathers there. Thin the paint enough so it's flowing off your brush really well. And then let's a little bit here, a little bit definitely at the head. So what I'm trying to do is get him kind of worked in from the idea of these little highlights that are happening. As you do. Because in art, we don't really paint objects as much as we paint highlights and shadows. I come along the forward side of that wing and highlight that a bit. And then if I have just enough of that in, then I can come back with white, which I'll pull out right here. Putting those little highlights on those feathers. Then in my white paint with water. Oops, too much. And again, if I get too much, I just clean it and take it back. I'm gonna highlight some of this. There we go. Highlight that inside edge and on the front of his little head and a bit of that tail and some of that. And I can always come back to where I had the dark gray, and I can even lighten that just a touch. Let's catch some highlights on this little fellow. This wing would be in much more light. And for sure, those feathers and these feathers. And then coming forward on his little head. And then I'm going to come back with some white. My little birds. How are your birds? I don't know.
I think they're turning.
Have been some birds. Little flappy birds. Now, I want to lighten my birds a bit, but I don't want to take out the values that I have. So something that I can do, if I want to do that, is I can take my zinc white and load up. And I'll lighten up my bird here. See what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna get my black paint. I'm gonna thin it. You can see what I dip my brush in the water and then I roll it out. I'm gonna get just the edge of the brush, just the tip of the brush. I'm gonna put a little.
Ooh, just a
little bits of detail. Little bits of detail, but keep it all on the tip. A little bit of a beak there. A little bit of an eye here. That's too much of an eye.
keep thinking you're going to go get paint, but you're not. You're just looking at
I
things.
need to get paint. I need to brighten these up a bit. I just haven't gotten to it. So I'm going to take my white and my blue. If I need to get my glaze into it, I will. I'm going to just highlight them and highlight them until they are the bright value that I'm going to want. I'm getting closer. I'm definitely going to grab some of my cadmium yellow just on the tip of my brush and add a kiss of that to the beak. Come back with just a little of my white. Just find the dove in the painting. There we are. That's starting to be the dove in the painting.
Yeah.
Now, I got a little crazy with my black lining there, so I'm going to work that back so it's a little less conspicuous. I'm going to get my water and thin my white paint.
Same one?
Yeah. Just titanium white. I'm going to come here and just make sure. Too much. Yeah, more white. There's its little body. So I think I've got some doves now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't.
I think you got some doves.
Who knows?
Those doves have flew.
They have
Now-
something.
Now what we need is some flowers.
We need some flowers. And then we have done this strange painting that I designed digitally.
And rehearsed so well.
I'm sorry. I think John is telling me I should have rehearsed the painting.
No, I just think it's funny.
I probably should have. He's probably right. I should have rehearsed the painting. I'm sorry, guys.
But it would not be the Sherpa without it. Actually, I think this turned out really good. I think that a lot of the reason why people learn so much is that you have to do some of this stuff on the fly. And
Well,
if you,
sometimes I come in rehearsed.
yeah, no, sometimes you do. I mean, there's a lot
I
of them
got
that you
some
pre-paint.
10-minute paintings up in my channel
And well, I mean,
that
there's a
are
whole,
real time and not fast forwarded even.
normally when you're doing studies, you pre-paint to do a study.
Okay, well, I'm mixing some burnt sienna and my phthalo green, and I'm creating my deep value on my plants that are going to be kind of poking out. This is sort of the en masse foliage. And I am going to turn this upside down because the lip on my easel, I'm going to have to do a different easel soon. The lip on my easel is in the way all the time.
Huh. We'll look at that next.
All right,
But-
just pulling some of those plants up there, covering that.
No, I think it's good when sometimes you do these ones where you've not rehearsed because you have to work some of this stuff out, and a lot of times new artists are working out some of this stuff at the same time too. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of the folks have commented they enjoy seeing you go through these processes because it's the same process they go through.
Oh, well, that's good. I hope so. I hope so. I enjoy painting these things. In general, as an artist, I don't rehearse my work before I do it. I just have an idea and I execute it. And if I really love the idea and I want to re-execute it, I'll iterate, which a lot of artists will do. What I'm trying to do here is make sure that I've got grass of this sort of forward-facing growth at different heights. I almost fell over.
I thought you were doing a little dance.
No, that's fallen.
That would have been an interesting live moment.
Interesting live moment. Bye-bye, Sherpa.
Ship it down.
Sherpa, bye-bye.
I wonder. I'm going to have a different intermission for that one.
Still better than Sherpa running away from Spider.
That was awesome.
I'm taking my phthalo green and my Indian yellow. This makes like a yellow gold. And I'm getting my zinc to lighten it. And I'm going to put some of these. They're highlights, but they're not. They're sort of the deep foliage version of the highlights, right? So you're seeing the greener grasses on the and I'm just finding those like bits of it that's more in the sun, and I feel like this could do butterflies and everything.
Mm-hmm. You could just go to town.
You could. There's no end. I'm going to get some cadmium yellow and just a touch of my
You could add
phthalo green.
fish jumping.
You could. Koi fish out there.
You could have your Patronus.
There's no end, John. There isn't.
You could put a Patronus standing on the shore. You could.
I'm just making some highlights and some foliage bits, and some of these things will be stems and for, standy up flowers. You just attach, if you get a nice thin line, you just attach a flower to that is always nice. So that's how we can pull some of that foliage a little bit forward. It's just a little more saturated, if that makes sense.
It does. So, while you're I'm not going to try to distract you too much, but if you filled everyone in on what book club was, someone would like to know in the audience.
So, in the TheArtSherpa group official, I need a break anyways while I look at it. Oh, I'm not unhappy with that painting.
I'm not unhappy with that either.
In the TheArtSherpa group official on Facebook, we meet on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. on any week that I can do it. Like if we're traveling or there's family stuff, we would not do it, but we try to make it every week. And we talk about what's coming up on the channel because there's so much stuff happening with us. We have a second channel. We have events. We just have a new thing coming out all the time. Plus, I'm constantly painting. So it's kind of a catch up to say, here's everything that's going on, letting everyone know what's coming up in the different things. And then at the end, we meet for 30 to 40 minutes and talk about a book that we're all reading together. Right now, we're reading Victoria Finley's Color, The Natural History of the Palette, which is my personal favorite book about paint. I just love it. I think if you want to understand pigment and where all this art stuff comes from, it gives you a new perspective on history. It gives you a new perspective about your paint and what you do. It makes the art store a magical Harry Potter kind of place. And so we get together and we just talk about what we read in the chapter. And we're up to chapter 3. We're going to meet this Thursday for chapter 3. That book's in the description. If you're looking for it, I have a description that's in the description below, so you can find it. So, and then we meet and we just talk about it.
Good.
That's book club. I don't know if it's that exciting, but it is for me.
We enjoy it.
I know. I want to believe it's exciting. Maybe it's exciting. I'm going to take a little of my Indian yellow into my Quin, and I'll grab some of my zinc, because again, the zinc will brighten the color without significantly creaming it out or dulling it out. And I'm going to start to make little cosmos flowers. They're wonderful because they're little bowls, aren't they? That's just little strokes. Little brush strokes. Some of them are bigger. Maybe there's one coming, in off the thing, and then you have somebody that's super open. That's lovely. Just enjoying my paint today. Sometimes when I'm doing flowers and I'm doing them loosely, what I like to do is take little bits of color that imply buds or bits of things that maybe you're not seeing as much. Different sizes. Of blooms. Dip in water. Now we're going to come back with pinker highlights. But you're just right now enjoying the different values and sizes of the petals. It's really going to be about if you make the flower bigger, it's closer to you. You may want to show the inside center of it. Just showing different ones. Now, if I get my white pink into it, I can do a couple things. I can highlight a few petals. Is that how we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And that one, they're lighter on the outside. And then I can also make some that are a lighter pink to begin with that are also mixed up in here. And then they have a lighter highlight. That's always very fun to play with. Putting in all the flowers in a very loaded little garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some really light pink. Quite light, isn't it?
Quite light.
And that are some of the lighter petals that might be going on our pink flowers. And of course we have some whole flowers that are that light color, which is super fun. Maybe I'll get a little of my yellow. And in some of the centers, a little white to that. Maybe I add a little pop of that yellow. Isn't that fun? Like you do. Getting it in there. Making it awesome. Yes, you do. That's what you do. Some are facing away from you so you can't see what they have going on. Get a little of my zinc over here and some of my diox. And we can talk about some little spike flowers that are purple. Look at these. Little kisses of purple. in this perfect little garden. And they peek in different places. It's just very loaded with blooms and bits of things.
This is not bad.
I'm glad it's not bad.
Just turn it in. Oh, I mean, the time is 2 hours and 20 minutes. So we're doing good
No,
on
it's
time.
a lot of a painting, but we did it.
We did.
Getting some more bright kind of green foliage to be going in the front. And you can always come in with your detail brushes.
It was quite the painting too.
Yes, it is quite the painting. I designed it and then was like, was this a good idea?
I like it. I like
Is this
how
a
it turned
good plan? We don't know.
out. I like that.
I'm going to get a little blue here into my white. And maybe a little bit that purple mix into it, just so it's a little integrated. And let's just include some little blue somethings, right? They're little blue somethings. You want little blue somethings.
Oh yeah.
And then maybe I'll put a little white on some of these petals. Try to imagine where the sunlight's catching them as it comes through the trees into this magic garden, clearly cared for by a unicorn. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely cared for by a unicorn. I'm going to grab a little of my Indian yellow again.
Who's just stage left.
Who's just stage left. Yeah, hiding from us because we're painting. Doesn't want to be seen. But maybe if we come here often. Make some leaf shape. Aren't those always nice? Little kissy kisses of leaf shapes.
Mm-hmm.
I did with my Sunday. Is this Sunday? I don't remember anymore.
I think so. Oh, there you are. You leaned one way and painted the other.
I know, I'm so weird.
Tricked me.
All right. I have almost said everything I have to say about that. I'm going to catch my swans in a little more highlight.
Oh, yeah.
As I think is appropriate. Right.
Full-on swans.
That's right. Make sure my doves are dovey. Are your doves dovey enough? Do you know if your doves are dovey enough?
I think yours are.
So what I'm trying to do is create a little shadow value here that just peeks out from the wing to help that wing pop out from the background.
Oh, see, for a minute there, I thought you were going to give him a little purple ribbon. So he could be like,
I mean, we could. You
hey,
want one?
Prince, I got your back, yo. Just a little.
Give them ribbon.
I don't know.
But this is an ecologically protected sanctum where no plastics are or none of those problems, so. You can see how the little highlights sort of help pull them out from the background.
Yeah.
And then the shadows. these little things that you can play with, you know, when you're trying to say, oh, hey. Good times. These guys had enough
That turned out really cool.
dark colors to be okay. Do you think so?
Yeah. You could add fish jumping, turtles swimming, anything you wanted. Just
Anything you wanted.
you could keep wildlifing it up until you were full of it.
They felt like there was just no more wildlife to even talk about. Some little petals falling down. The story is your own.
Oh,
Very strange day.
that turned out amazing.
I don't know. You guys have to decide.
I
This
really,
is one of those ones where I leave it to you.
yeah, and it's good.
But hopefully, even through this process, something became unblocked from you. A new technique became easier to execute. Maybe you saw how to deal with a painting challenge in a new way, or, you know, just unlocked something extra in your own personal skill box
Mhm.
to grow your art experience so you can create crazy, weird paintings like this in the future, which is what my dream is for all of you. I'm going to go for it, Kim.
All right.
There it is. The strangest fantasy landscape in the world. Happy Sunday. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.